So now we get to the super fun bit, which is we're going to have the Mentee Q&A run by Kim Liddell. Now, Kim Liddell is a force of nature. She is the chair of the CCF New South Wales Women in Civil Subcommittee. She is a board member of CCF New South Wales. She's also the founder and MD of Non-Destructive Excavation. So, Kim, welcome on up, and if you could call up our mentees, I'll leave it over to you.
Thank you so much, Dave. Okay, this is going to be, I guess, short and sweet because our mentees probably aren't loving me right now, having to come up here. It's a long way from their scope of work, but if we could please have Alicia, Blandine and Valentina. So I think they've been voluntold to sit in these chairs. We did. We're great at coordination. Girls like that sort of thing as well. So what I'm going to do is hand you the microphone, and if you could each introduce yourselves, who you work for, what type of work you do, and then just give us a bit of an overview of your mentor for the program. We might start with Valentina.
Thank you. So I'm Valentina Levy. I'm a project engineer working for Simo White Construction. At the moment, I'm working in the pre-contracts department, and my mentor was Rick Jones. Rick Jones is the business developer manager for Boral. He has been around in the industry for a while, and he has been working in operational and commercial roles, so he's got a great experience, and it was great to have the opportunity to have Rick as a mentor as part of the program.
Hi, my name is Alicia Tran. I work for Abigail Lee Contractors. I'm a site engineer and currently working on a project in Marsden Park where we're constructing a sewage pumping station. So my mentor was Gladys Woods. So I was very fortunate to have her. She's actually from more of an academic background, but she's been in the industry since 2000, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so she knows so much about the industry. So I've been lucky in that sense that I kind of got her academic side to teach me and also her industry experience side. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Blandine Bessier. I'm working for Wood Construction Australia. So I'm working on the North Connects project as a cost controller. My mentor was Kim. And we've done a bit of a travel together and it was pretty good. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so next thing, we're just going to give you a quick overview of how the program ran for the participants. So where did you meet your mentor? Did you meet at work? Did you meet at a coffee shop? Did you meet over Skype? Did you Zoom? Did you have phone calls? Let's just run quickly through how the program worked for you.
Thank you. So we start meeting each other for a coffee in morning times. And then I think we slowly transfer our schedule towards lunchtime to have a bit of extra time to enjoy a meal and talk a bit more.
So mine was, initially we had our first meeting straight after the introduction of the whole program. But then after that we set a meeting place at Starbucks at Marsden Park. So I was lucky enough that Gladys was able to come to me because she knew I was on site, and I sat during my lunchtime. So she really catered to me. So that was good. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So I think the first time we met was on the phone, and then we met on a coffee to have a coffee, and then we mostly texted and emailed each other because like we're not living really next to each other. But it was good to have like this kind of meeting. And the last one, you came to my workplace, and it was pretty good, like to enjoy a coffee and have the time to kind of conclude everything. It was good.
So I think you can see is that we're pretty flexible in this industry, and we like coffee. and Zoom works sometimes when we get the tech right, as does FaceTime, but sometimes that's tricky as well. So yeah, the program's been really flexible, and we've been able to cater to our mentees' needs, hopefully, and them to ours as well. So thank you for being so flexible and willing to give it a go. So I just wanted to ask you, at the outset of the program, did you have a goal in mind or did you have any expectations? And whether you achieved that or something completely unexpected? We might go with you, Blendy.
Thanks. So for me, the goal was like really to know more about myself. I'm really new in the industry, really new in the professional industry, if I can say it like that. And I started to work and I felt a bit lost, and it was amazing to have Kim to help me find out, okay, what's my goal now, what I want to do, what I want in my work, what the relationship I want with my colleagues. And so we've done some activities together. So she was sending me PowerPoints with how to set a goal, what are my passions, what I want to do. And it was so interesting and frustrating sometimes, because you can ask a lot of questions to yourself, but to find the answer is not that simple. So you just like, okay, I'm stuck now. What can I do? And it was good to have Kim like, okay, so I'm stuck now. So maybe I'm not going to give you some news because I'm going to take some time to, think about everything. And it was really interesting. And one thing we've done is each Tuesday, we send each other texts to say 3 things we were grateful for. And it was so good because we're not doing that much in our life, I think. And just to be able to say, oh, actually, like this week's been hard, but I'm grateful for that because I went on a weekend, I've seen my friends, and it was good. So yeah, I don't know if it answered the question.
Mine was kind of a bit different in the sense that I came to the program kind of also actually looking for a bit of guidance because I was in the building industry before, and it kind of left me with a bad taste in my mouth, and was still kind of figuring out whether I wanted to stay in engineering. So Gladys kind of went through opportunities or what I should be looking at or what would be a good path for me. So it was a bit more of an exploration thing at the beginning, and because I didn't know what this mentoring program would be structured like or what exactly my goals were. It was actually a big question mark at the very beginning. So Gladys really helped with actually breaking it down to very small milestones even, just taking down a pen and paper things like what I know, what I don't know, what I want to achieve. So we set very small measurable goals at the beginning with a time frame, and that really helped to kind of keep track of it. So at the beginning it was very well structured, but then towards the end, whilst I was kind of more on track, it was more of a monitoring, like how are you going, are you coming across any problems. So at the beginning it was quite structured, and then towards the end it was kind of catching up, and it became more like I was excited to see her because I wanted to tell her what I achieved or how it's coming along with things. So yeah, it was very nice in that sense. Yeah.
So I guess my main target was very similar to yours, and we set few targets at the beginning. And although I haven't completely met few of these targets, my expectation of the program are more than satisfied. And I'll give you an example. One of these targets was to actually understand where I want to go, what I want to do in 10, 15 years' time. And talking to Rick helped me to understand, first of all, what sort of questions should I ask myself to meet my target? And above all, it helped me to understand what I definitely don't want to do in 10, 15 years' time. So I guess I've almost reached my goal, or I'm definitely much closer to my goal than I was before this program.
Oh, that's such great feedback. Thank you so much. On the work front, any shares, and it doesn't have to be all of you, anything comes to mind about providing you greater capacity in the workplace through participating in the program? Yeah.
Yes. I'm working in the tender department at the moment, and as anybody in this room probably has noticed, the market at the moment is crazy and it's hitting the roof. So it's getting very difficult at tender stage to build a connection with suppliers and subcontractors, and as a consequence, get reliable quotation, reliable prices back from the market. So I asked Rick, how could I possibly do anything better? How could I improve the situation? And the suggestion was as simple as effective, I will say, but it worked out. I had to change the way I am approaching people, but it's slowly getting better and better. So it was very useful.
For me, just trying to think because it's for me because actually when I first met Gladys, I thought she was like a superwoman because
And she is.
like for her, I realized she has so much on her plate, and she also had like not just managing her business, but she had all these outside of work hobbies as well. And that to me, I always question, how does she manage to balance everything? Because to me, when I was not happy at work as well, like you didn't perform, and she managed to balance everything so well. So from her, like I learned that I do prioritize work. We spend so much time at work, but also to cater to balance your outside of work life as well. So it's much more healthy. So like seeing her was also not just updating her about how I was going at work, but also outside of work and how I was performing, and I was seeing how she was going in her events and things like that. So that to me also taught me that it wasn't just trying to get everything done at work, and it was just having a healthy mindset as well at work so that I can perform how I want to as well. So it's just a bit of balance with that.
I think for me, the program helped me more personally, but as it affected me personally, then at work I was more confident and I could do things like better and go to other people like in an easy way and not be terrified because my English is not that good. And it was really good. Like it's more personally, but it had an effect on my professional life.
Thank you so much. I think we're live streaming, so I just wanted to go across and see if we have any questions before we put some questions out, options to the floor.
I just asked that. No, there haven't been any.
Nothing through.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
A mentoring program, and your English is perfect. I'm really interested in what inspired you three to go into engineering. Like, was it a person or a thing?
For me, it's totally random, to be honest.
Random, yeah.
Yeah, it's really random. And I was looking for an internship at the end of my business school. And my brother's living in Australia now. And was like, oh yeah, why not Australia? So I just sent like CVs, and one happened to be WIG, a French company. And they have this specific contract for French between 18 and 28 years old. And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's try. That's really, really random. And I've seen like it can be quite hard to be on site. I was on site at the beginning on the civil. And so I've been really on the front row, kind of, not as an engineer, but working with engineer. And now I'm more like in the building. And as a woman, it's really different from like to work on site and even in the head office. And I think it's quite a change both, because I don't know, it doesn't really reply to your question. I'm sorry, but I think there's challenges in head office that are not the same as sites, but the place of the woman is not equal, even if there's more women on a head office.
So there's work to be done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
which is why we're all here, right?
Mine came more, like you said, a lot of girls have more that artsy kind of side, and with English, like when I did my HSC, English was like my strongest point. Yeah, so, but I went into wanting to do architecture, but because I had a more creative side, and Gladys has acknowledged that as well. But for me, I was more inspired by a family member who was an architect, and I went into the careers fair with speaking to the architectural department, and they said to me it's a very competitive industry, and they're like, oh, it's very, you'll be struggling for the first 20 years as a junior architect, and then until you become a senior architect, that's when things become more interesting. You get to run your own projects and do things like that. So you've just done 12 years of study and you're going to do another 5 years of study, struggle for another 20 years. You kind of have it a bit easy. So I was like, oh, this may be not a great path. And so they asked me like, how's your mathematics? And I'm like, oh, it's not the best, but it gets me by. So they told me there was a big push for women in engineering. And this was probably in only 2010, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 2010. And at that time, it was being promoted, but it wasn't as like encouraged as it is now. And at the time, I honestly went into engineering not knowing what it was, what it really actually involved at all. Like I still went in, did not know the meaning of engineering when I went in. Funny because you're laughing, but it's true. And even the first year, I still didn't know what it was because the first years of uni, it's all maths and science, and you don't have any exposure to it. But it wasn't probably until my first internship where I realized it was I was involved in construction, not so much engineering. And I didn't really like it. I'm not gonna lie, because I was with a company that were very male dominated, and they didn't really. I turned into more the admin at that time, and then so when I got into my second internship, it was also very similar, which is why I said I had that bad taste from building, because no toilets. I used to go have to hold to go to toilets. It's really bad. Like you spend the whole day, you can't go. But it's just the mindset is still the same. But now that I'm with Abigail, you can really see they're really pushing, and like my team is like majority of it is women. So like the support that you get is very different. Like and you get a different feel for it because, like you said it's very different that. In the office, it's all women, and on site, you feel uncomfortable. But I can say differently, like me being on site, like I know that my team supports me. They're willing to teach. We've got, them facilitating to us. So like they treat me like equal. So like you feel like you belong, rather than before when I was in building, it's like, you don't want to be there at all. Yeah.
Well, I guess in my case was much simpler. I was just very good in science and maths. And when I attended the middle school, I don't know what's the equivalent here in Australia, I was 10, 11 years old. I really liked school and I was quite good at school. And I was suggested to go to a kind of grammar school that was full of Latin and ancient Greek and these sort of things, and I hated a lot. So when I was 18 years old and it was time to choose again, I chose engineering because simply I love maths and buildings, and I wanted to get to know how they are built.
When you say they're amazing. So I think we've got a couple of minutes to open to the floor if anyone has any questions that they'd like to put forward to our mentees. Yes?
Well, just what's the best little piece of advice you could receive?
There are many. There are many. I think the best one is very simple, but was to be honest, reliable with people, returning calls if I miss calls, be strong and be straight with people, because this will communicate to people that I'm a reliable person, and this will help me to build long-lasting relationship.
Anybody else? Game enough to...
Now you've completed the program, would you like to be a mentor in the future?
I would love to. I think I still have to get a bit of more experience maybe, but yeah, I would definitely love to.
One more question? Oh, thank you. Oh, two. We'll have two. Yep.
What were some of the things that you've learned to get out of that main resistance to construction science? I know it's bad, but obviously what were some of the things that you picked up from this? How are you going to handle that?
I think more so it's kind of learning to read people. I know that a lot of the people who, the older gentlemen in the industry have still that traditional mindset. And for me, it was more just at the beginning treading very lightly and reading people. Because there are a lot of men who kind of want to avoid women altogether. So you kind of stay out of their way. It sounds really bad, but it's just trying to find the right approach to get to know them, to see what, because a lot of them have wives and daughters and whatever as well. So like just trying to talk to them and see what they're like, and trying to adapt to what they're after as well. Some people you can't be very stubborn or firm with them. Some you have to be very nice to, or ask them nicely if they can help you or to teach you something. And I found that a lot of the times it does work when you kind of just try and read a person more than trying to make a stance and say, I'm the only girl in female in engineering or in construction. You guys kind of have to help me. At the same time, you kind of might have to go to them as well. So it's more just trying to not be scared to approach them. So at the same time, like us girls kind of are more scared of them as well. I know you guys are also scared of us. It seems as though it's more planned. But yeah, it's just trying to meet in the middle and trying to get to know like what they're thinking as well. Yeah.
We've got one up the back, and then I think we'll finish with Chris, if that's all right.
Just a simple question there. Towards the end of your problem with your mentor said, did you feel that you wanted more of it? Or did you kind of just come all of the questions from the fear of it because you wanted to get most out of that relationship with your mentor?
Well, I know I was really sad knowing that the 9 months. So it's kind of like, no more meeting up, like regular meetups. But Gladys is nice enough to say she still wanted to track my progress and see how I was going. But it's like towards the end, you've got like this relationship with your mentor. Like I was saying to her, I was preparing for the notes of this, and I was like Gladys has now become my friend, and like more so, also a teacher as well, but more like me going to her to tell her how I'm going. And yeah, so at the end of the day, we kind of do, or I do, I'm not sure about the other mentees, but I felt it was like a good, not a routine, but it's just a good relationship to have someone that like you can go to, like, you can ask them questions, or, you can share good news with them.
Thank you so much. Chris, last one, lucky last.
So my question's from a training provider perspective. You spoke about universities encouraging women into engineering. Do you think they assisted you in your time at university? And did they talk to you about coping mechanisms when you do land on site? And because I know we're trying to find female role models to put in front of our trainees, but what's your opinion?
I can give you my opinion, but it's something usually so.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't provide any of this at all. So it was quite a shock.
I think for me it was different because at the uni I went to, we had very long hours, so it felt almost like we were still at school. And they probably did have a lot of, I did see some where they had like, women in engineering kind of, committees and things like that, but because of our long hours in school and you've got casual work, like you just don't have the time for that. And at the end of the day, you just go to your class and come out of it. It's a bit sad, but like I think because engineering and stuff, I'm not sure about other construction courses, but there's a lot of hours and you can't really get to the stage of meeting other girls. I know these days there are a lot of committees online, like I said, that do have like other female engineers helping each other out while they're studying and things like that. But probably during my time it was not as common.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now that you're successful graduates and professional speakers now, just a quick wrap up, one piece of advice that you might like to share with our new mentees that are going to join the program next round. Or to the mentors even. Mentors, mentees, one piece of advice, please.
Well, to the mentees, just take it easy, enjoy it. It's not an exam. And I think the new mentees should put sometimes a bit of effort in that, because at the beginning it can be like a bit strange to work with stuff with pretty much a structure. So just insist of that in that a little bit, because it's very, very rewarding. It will be worth it.
Mine's quite similar as well, just kind of really work towards building a relationship with your mentor, because at the end of the day, they're here to help you. Like, don't feel like they're judging you just because they're your mentor, they're supposed to know more than you. They're really here to kind of give you advice, to guide you, and like really, at the end, I know they're supposed to be your mentor as well, but they're really there, your friend as well. Sorry. So yeah, just really value that.
One thing for me is like try to meet in person, because even if you can email, text each other, it's not the same. You don't share the same thing when you're meeting each other, and that's really an important thing.
Thank you so much. I think we're so blessed to have some amazing people in this room, and I just want to give you a massive round of applause for being shining lights for our industry.